F slowly approached a vampire and placed a silver sword on its face. The vampire burned by the silver sword showed no reaction, and F then cut off its head with a single strike. Their microwave sensor actually proved effective against the vampires. They subsequently found Satrakian and shared this good news with him. Vasily thought it was worth a try after hearing it, but F couldn't join the mission. F disagreed, despite his past betrayal, as it was for the sake of his son. Dutch also defended F upon seeing the situation, but Vasily blamed F for the city's downfall. The two of them immediately engaged in a heated argument.
How about that assault in Central Park? How'd that work out? Half the cops in New York are dead because of you. You're responsible for those people.
Hey, stop it!
As a doctor, F was no match for Vasily. However, F's long-suppressed emotions made him furious, so he stood up and fought with Vasily again. Satrakian quickly stopped the two of them. He said that the blood ancestor wanted to disintegrate them from within, so he hoped that the two would put aside their personal grudges for the time being and fight against the blood ancestor together. At that moment, Quinlan, who had been missing for 2 days, appeared. Satrakian began to ask him what the ancestors had said. After hearing this, Quinlan told everyone about the death of the ancestors. This news shocked everyone. They couldn't believe that the powerful ancestors were killed by the blood ancestor. Meanwhile, Palmer, who had obtained the nuclear bomb, returned to the Stoneheart group. News of his betrayal would soon reach the master, so he needed to be prepared in advance. Palmer asked all his bodyguards to hide in the room while he pretended to be weak and lay on the hospital bed. As expected, Eichhorst, upon receiving the information, quickly arrived and demanded Palmer hand over the nuclear bomb. However, Palmer refused, using the excuse that the master hadn't granted him immortality, which infuriated Eichhorst. Eichhorst stated that if it weren't for the master giving Palmer his white blood, he would already be dead, and he was now prepared to kill Palmer. Palmer remained composed and told Eichhorst that if he died, nobody would know the whereabouts of the nuclear bomb. Eichhorst proposed turning Palmer into a vampire first so that the master would know all his memories, and then he would break his neck. Just as Eichhorst was about to make a move, Palmer swiftly pulled out a gun hidden under the blanket. With a gunshot, Eichhorst was knocked back several meters. Immediately, Palmer prepared to pursue his advantage, and the hidden bodyguards also rushed out from the room. Palmer quickly went to the elevator entrance to check, but Eichhorst had already escaped. Injured Eichhorst was staggering down the street. He was on the verge of death now, and as he fell, he kept shouting for the master. After an unknown period of time, a couple searching for supplies on the street discovered him. They turned Eichhorst over and then saw his appearance. The man had never seen a vampire disguised as a human before, so he planned to keep Eichhorst's head as a trophy. However, just as the man was about to make his move, he was suddenly shot dead. The woman immediately shouted that they were humans, but she was shot on the spot. Then, 2 soldiers approached Eichhorst. It turned out they were Navy SEALs controlled by the master. They were here to rescue the critically injured Eichhorst. Zack was playing with feelers on the street. This was the first time Zack had been on the surface in a month. Zack stood on a car and pointed to the flag on the roof of the building. He asked Feelers to take it down. Following the order, Feelers immediately ran towards the building, climbing up like Spider-Man. Speed was one of Feelers' advantages. Just then, a car slowly approached and stopped in front of Zack. A man got out of the car and, seeing Zack alone on the street, began asking if he needed help. Zack didn't respond to the man. At this moment, Feelers, who was about to retrieve the flag, witnessed the scene. The man, frightened by this creature, immediately drew his gun to shoot. To protect Feelers from being killed, Zack gave the order to attack. Instantly, Feelers pounced on the man, driving the stinger into his neck. Zack was at a loss when he saw this. Meanwhile, Palmer arranged another meeting with Satrakian. He informed Satrakian about Eichhorst's plan to transport the nuclear bomb. Though he didn't know the purpose of the bomb, it surely held great importance to the master. Palmer explained that Eichhorst had just come to seize the bomb but was severely injured by him. To retrieve the bomb, the master himself would have to intervene, presenting the final opportunity to completely eliminate him. Palmer asked Satrakian to be prepared as he would return to the Stoneheart group to act as bait. Once the master appeared, they could kill him for good. Upon returning, Citrakian began assigning tasks to everyone. Dutch was to go to the security room and install the microwave sensor. Vasily's task was to bring in the coffin that sealed the master. The remaining individuals would lay in ambush at the rooftop apartment, and when the master appeared, Dutch would activate the machine immediately. When the master was immobilized, they would all work together to force him into the coffin. On the other side, Palmer returned to the Stoneheart group to act as bait. However, as they arrived at the underground parking lot, they were ambushed. 2 vampire soldiers began firing wildly at them. The bodyguards immediately escorted Palmer to safety and then launched a counterattack against the vampire soldiers. Just as the 2 sides were locked in a fierce battle, the master unleashed a sonic disruption. The piercing sound incapacitated everyone, rendering them unable to fight. The bodyguards were instantly killed by the vampires, and as the last bodyguard fell, the master's sonic disruption ceased. In Palmer's surprised eyes, he discovered that the soldier was possessed by the master. Then, the master demanded the nuclear bomb from Palmer. Unfazed, Palmer told him that the bomb was in his safe, and only he knew the password. Palmer proposed cooperation once again, offering to hand over the bomb if the master granted him immortality. Surprisingly, the master didn't get angry but promptly agreed to Palmer's request. Subsequently, the master grabbed Palmer, and only then did Palmer start to panic. The master took out a handful of soil from his pocket and forcefully stuffed it into Palmer's mouth. The master intended to transfer his soul to Palmer's body and began transferring the worms. After it was over, they fell to the ground. After an unknown period of time, Palmer slowly crawled up from the ground. The master quickly adapted to his new body. Palmer and Citrakian discussed the plan to kill him, which was also known to the Blood Ancestor. He was going to unleash a furious retaliation against the vampire hunting team. On the other side, Kelly learned about Zack killing someone and rushed over. Zack was frightened and desperately explained that he did it to protect feelers. However, Kelly didn't blame him. She stated that Zack did the right thing. Being transformed into a vampire was a beautiful thing, and she informed Zack that the master already knew about it and admired his intelligence. Then she urged Zack to pack his things and go to the master. Meanwhile, Eichhorst was brought to the Stoneheart group, and the soldiers placed him in Palmer's operating chair. Blood Ancestor looked at him with great distress. After all, Eichhorst was his most loyal servant, but now he has been severely injured by humans. Eichhorst didn't understand why the Blood Ancestor possessed an old man's body. Eichhorst has always been waiting for the Blood Ancestor to use his body, but the Blood Ancestor has chosen several bodies without choosing him. After hearing this, the Blood Ancestor told him that it was just a temporary measure. Now he knows the location of the nuclear bomb, and next, all humans will fall into hell. Eichhorst saw that his master's purpose was immediately achieved, so he immediately asked the Blood Ancestor to help him free himself. After hearing this, the Blood Ancestor did not want to give up Eichhorst. After all, he has always been by his side, so the Blood Ancestor was willing to sacrifice his own power to save him. Afterwards, the Blood Ancestor tore open Eichhorst's clothes and looked at his body full of bullet holes, feeling very distressed. Then he cut a wound on his finger and dropped white blood onto Eichhorst's wound. Then the wound began to heal quickly, and in just a few seconds, Eichhorst recovered. Kelly used makeup techniques to restore Eichhorst's appearance again. After it was over, Eichhorst led them to the nuclear bomb and showed them how to use it. He gave the controller to Kelly for safekeeping. Early the next morning, the vampire hunting team arrived at the Stoneheart group to ambush the Blood Ancestor, not knowing that he already knew their plan. Just as they were transporting the sealed coffin containing the Blood Ancestor, Quinlan suddenly sensed something was wrong. He asked everyone to go and complete their respective tasks first, while he went to survey the building. Soon, Dutch arrived at the security room to install microwave sensors. Vasily, on the other hand, hid the coffin on the ground floor. At this time, Citrakian and F have reached the top, and the Blood Ancestor disguised as Palmer is sitting on the office chair. Then F and Citrakian slowly approached, obviously not realizing the Blood Ancestor's true identity. Citrakian saw his wife's heart on a display shelf. At this moment, he still couldn't let go and vowed to kill the Blood Ancestor. At this point, what the Blood Ancestor said made the two of them realize that something was wrong.
Your son, though.
What about my son?
Fine boy. Great potential.
You've never met my son.
Zack has a dark heart, don't you think?
Quinlan came to the underground parking lot and found that it had been massacred by the Strigoi. He then discovered a body that had been replaced by the Master, which made him feel uneasy. He was about to inform his teammates, but as soon as he arrived at the staircase, An ambush of vampire soldiers attacked him. The vampire soldiers were no match for Quinlan, who used sound to locate the enemy. Satrakian saw through the master's identity and attacked him with a sword, but was knocked down by the master's blow. Dutch in the control room witnessed this scene and immediately contacted Vasily. Vasily, upon seeing this, instructed Dutch to quickly activate the microwave sensor. Unfortunately, the machine malfunctioned. Meanwhile, F and the others were still fighting the master on the rooftop, but soon they couldn't hold on any longer. F shouted to Dutch through the surveillance system, but she was busy trying to fix the machine. At this moment, Vasily arrived on the rooftop of the coffin, and the situation suddenly changed. Vasily launched the first attack but was thrown out by the master. Even with the three of them taking turns to attack, the master easily defended himself. However, the master was very annoyed and prepared to deal with Satrakian first. Just as he spat out his stinger, Vasily wounded him with a single slash. Dutch finally fixed the machine and quickly pressed the switch. At this moment, the master prepared to attack Satrakian again, but the next second, his stinger became limp. It seemed that the microwave sensor successfully suppressed the master. F approached and kicked him, then raised his silver sword ready to kill him, but unexpectedly, the master could still move and took the silver sword, slashing F. Vasily quickly came to support and directly drove the master away. However, just as he reached the elevator, a familiar figure walked out. Quinlan appeared in front of everyone. Waiting for this moment for a long time, Quinlan then grabbed the master and threw him into the coffin. The master still tried to resist, and everyone rushed forward to help. In this way, the master was successfully sealed in the coffin. Dutch also arrived on the rooftop and laughed happily upon hearing that the master had been sealed. At this moment, she noticed F's injury. Dutch quickly approached to check his condition, and Satrakian said that the mission was not yet completed. They needed to sink the master into the sea. The group then began to act, and F, seeing that he was not seriously injured, asked Dutch to help with the microwave sensor. As a doctor, he could handle the wound himself. Seeing that F was fine, Dutch immediately followed the team to complete the next task. Eichhorst, who was performing a mission at this time, suddenly couldn't feel the presence of the blood ancestor. He immediately ordered his subordinates to return to the Stoneheart group. Meanwhile, Kelly also sensed that something was wrong with the master and quickly ran to the rooftop with Zack. F, who was bandaging his wound, encountered Kelly at this moment. After seeing that Zack was fine, F was very happy.
Zack?
But in the next second, Kelly rushed towards F and they immediately started fighting. Because F was seriously injured, he was always suppressed by Kelly.
Stop! Get off!
But F still found the opportunity to push Kelly away. Immediately after, F stood up and fought with Kelly again. In this way, Zack witnessed his father kill Kelly. On the other side, Quinlan and the others had already arrived at the coast, and they quickly transported the coffin onto the yacht. At the same time, Zack was very angry when he saw his dead mother, so he took out the controller of the nuclear bomb. After seeing this, F quickly got up and grabbed the controller, but the next second,